So a couple of days ago, I'm on the phone with my dad, and he's given me the annual life lesson. Watch out for rattlers. I've been up here off and on half my life, and there isn't a trail on this property where I haven't seen a rattler. So I always have that in the back of my mind, and if you think about it too much, you really don't want to walk anywhere. I've come across plenty of rattlers. Luckily, not too many lately. But I tell my guests, well, if you're worried, just stay in the cabin. But they still got to go outside to take a whiz. So I'm more worried about me, dusk or dawn, going out to take a leak and getting trucked by a big old buck because I spooked him. Or even worse, getting my wiener bit off by a sneaky cougar. Oh yeah, we live by Rattlesnake Gulch and by Cougar Canyon. So yeah, I always got that in the back of my mind when nature calls. A lot of bathroom talk in this episode, and I don't even have a bathroom. So let's go. No, not to the bathroom. To Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's where we'll meet James Sloan Baumer, nicknamed Jim, infielder, MLB debut 1949. Jim was signed at the age of 18 in 1949 by the Chicago White Sox as a bonus baby. The bonus rule forces you to start your career in the majors, where in 1949 Jim played in a few games and hit 400, going 4 for 10 with a double and a triple. That sounds like the start to a very promising career. Don't know what happened, but he would spend the entire decade of the 1950s in the Pacific Coast League with a few teams, but mostly with the Hollywood Stars, being the main one, between 1955 and 1960. That's when my dad got his autograph a couple of times. 1956, I'm not sure if it was in LA or a game in San Francisco. Jim's got a couple of cards, a 61 Topps that shows him in a Reds uniform, and he's got this really nice looking 1967 Kabaya Leaf Japanese card that I saw. Jim's big return to the majors was in 1961 at the age of 30. For a minute, played in a handful of games and was then done as a big leaguer. His major league days were finished in the USA, but his baseball career in Japan was just starting. He played 5 seasons during the 60s on the other side of the world for the Nishitetsu Lions. When his playing days were completely over, Jim came back to the USA and would be a scout for the Houston Astros and then the Milwaukee Brewers, who would eventually make Jim their GM, a position he held for 3 years. Jim was the one who acquired Cecil Cooper from the Red Sox, brought back Henry Aaron to Milwaukee, and signed Robin Yount. That'll make you a fan favorite. But with the Brewers continuing to slip the next couple of years, Jim would be fired. But it wasn't long before he was hired as a scout for the Phillies, then became head of their farm system. 2 years later, in 1981, he was named vice president and would serve in that capacity until they revamped the front office in 1988. He was retained, but his duties changed. He would stay with the club until he retired in 1993. He died 3 years later at the age of 65. So like I said, Jim signed with the White Sox when he was 18. This was just days after another ball player named Mickey Mantle had just signed his big league contract. Both fellas were from Oklahoma, both were 18 years old, and both made it to the big show. But that's where the similarities end, because one guy went on to become a Hall of Famer, and the extent of the other guy's career was 18 games in the majors. One guy signed for $50,000, the other $1,500. Which is which? I will give you a hint. The guy who played 18 games was way overpaid.